Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So today we are going to talk about 800,000 subscribers. Thank you. Thank you for hanging in there with me. 5 years ago when all this started, I could not have pictured any of this. I am still incredibly sick, but this is tradition now to mark these milestones this way. So here we are. So there are questions from y'all that have been picked out by the team, and I will answer them and give you an off-the-cuff answer. They're supposed to be fun. And we'll just kind of take a moment and be here. What is the rules-based international order? That doesn't seem like a fun question. The rules-based international order, that's a term used to describe the various international systems that kind of regulate the way countries interact on the global scene. It came into being after World War II. After World War II is when it kind of surfaced. Think like the UN. If you're having trouble finding stuff using this term, look for liberal international order. And that would also kind of guide you there. Why don't you call Nikki Haley by her real name? I call people what they would like to be called. I get it from a partisan Democratic strategy standpoint. I understand putting her given name in front of Republicans is, you know what's going to happen. But y'all don't need my help with that. And to be honest, y'all don't really need to do it either. Other Republicans are going to do it to her. Are you going to take suggestions for the charities for your 25 days of Christmas idea? I hadn't planned on it because it was supposed to be a secret. Maybe. That's still very much in development. Why don't you send me another message? Tell me who told you about it. Okay. I'm still waiting on the book. When's the book coming out? Well, it's supposed to be January. It's me. I'm running behind. It's me being obsessive about content and stuff like that. It's all on me. We are behind on it. But I will let y'all know. Don't worry. Why don't you ever name the people in your messages? Because I respect people's privacy. And I think that anonymity creates a little more honesty. People are more willing to ask questions if they know their name isn't going to be tied to it and they're not going to get jumped on social media. Do you think Biden is going to run again? I don't know. I don't know if he's going to run again, but I know that he wants you to think he's going to run again. If he says he's not going to run again, it means his political career is over. He becomes ineffective immediately. So he's not going to say he's not going to run again. And then even if he's already decided that he's not going to run again, he would probably still want to cast that image that he's going to, so he can act as like a lightning rod for whoever the new candidate is. The Republican Party continues to attack him, and then he steps down. The new candidate won't have been attacked for 4 years straight. I know you said you were only going back to the beginning of the Soviet Union, but why didn't you go back further to explain how Ukraine came to be? Okay. In a recent video, I talked about the structure of the Soviet Union and how Ukraine existed in that structure. I only went back to the beginning of the Soviet Union because people who might need that like broken down, if we started talking about the Rus in Kyiv, the context for it isn't there. When you're trying to simplify something and you're using history to do it, I have found it helpful to only go back as far as you need to. And odds are you'll provoke enough curiosity that people will go and look it up on their own afterward. What will you do if there's no accountability at all for Trump? I don't know, become even more cynical? Try to be prepared for somebody else to try to do it again in the future? Don't know. Are your messages real, or are they made up as a rhetorical device? They're real. So sometimes they may be obscured a little bit. Like, let's say I talk to somebody out here, like in person. I may say I got a message, because that person, it might identify who they are if I don't. Sometimes I will shorten a message. Obviously, you have seen me edit them as I'm reading through them. But they're real. The content is real. The method of delivery might be obscured or whatever. But yeah, it's real. I will cop to, if I get a bunch of messages about one topic, I tend to either choose the absolute shortest or the one that is structured in the best way for me to make my point. I will admit to doing that, but no, they're real. They're not like just totally fabricated or anything as a jumping off point. But I mean, I get the question. It makes sense. Okay. Why don't you ever talk about your past, or at least defend yourself against the parts that aren't true? I did initially, and I did it poorly. When I first got out, I tried to talk about it, and I would point to. See, I don't even want to say that. I would talk about it poorly, and it wasn't the right way to do it. So I stopped for a while, like totally. And then I went into this phase where I would correct the gross inaccuracies that often accompany takes about it. And then I realized that wasn't the right way to do it either. And that happened, on this channel. Or during the time of this channel, I realized that I was breaking my own rules. I wasn't following my own advice. In fact, it's advice I've given recently on the channel. You don't do anything to undermine other people trying to make the same change you did. And I realized that was happening. And then it really it hit home when I got a message, and I made a video about it at the time. The significance of it to me, probably more than most people that watched it, but it was from a guy who he joined a gang when he was, 14, 15. I don't remember the ages. And then when he was old enough to be tried as an adult, him and his crew drove by somebody, and they got the wrong person. And I don't know if he did it, but he was, he was in it. And he went to prison for a very long time. And when he got out, he wanted to do like a gang intervention thing where he would try to stop people from his neighborhood from joining gangs. And I got this message from him, and it was just full of self-doubt and he didn't think anybody would let him get past his past. And it happened, I got the message shortly after somebody had brought up mine. And I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, at that point it was 12 or 13 years after the fact. And the message that was being taken away from it when I talked about it was, it doesn't matter what you do. That's how you'll always be defined. And he had this giant list of what he considered like redeeming things about me. And I mean, most of it was actually all. I just had the YouTube channel, so I got the credit, And he just said he didn't have anything like that. And it created all of this self-doubt. And it was just paralyzing for him. And I realized then that it wasn't helpful. That when I tried to address it, or particularly, against the parts that people get wrong or whatever, it undermined other people trying to make the same change. And so I decided to stop, and I don't. I kind of just put a little bit of faith in my assumption that people are generally good and that people see change. And it's worked out so far pretty well. And it's a big part of this channel in a lot of ways. When you think about the concept of change and everything that's coming through this channel, I mean, evolve on a long enough timeline, we win. It's all about change. And I feel that this community accepts that. And I think it also has a lot to do with why this community is the way it is. And I feel that there are probably a lot of people who are also not just wanting to change the world, change their community, but change themselves. And this, anytime there is a moment when that can reveal itself, it does. In that recent video, let's talk about men changing. I mentioned the 12 steps. Go to the comments of that video and see all of the people who have personal experience with that program. And it may seem like, it's a weird community for that reason, because I think that there's a lot of people that are part of it that have that drive, but it's also what makes it effective. It's that drive to change, that drive to do better, that drive to make amends or fix something or whatever it is that's pushing a whole lot of people. That's the reason a radio show can call and say, hey, there's this union and they're on strike and it's near Christmas and they got 200 kids and, will you come on and help raise money for it? Yeah. But then I do a live stream with y'all and mention it. And in what, like 90 minutes, 2 hours, raised all the money. That comes from people who want change. So to me, it seemed better to just let people look at it and interpret it however they want. Because, at this point, it's 15 years ago. They see the change or they don't. They accept it or they don't. And there's nothing I can do about that. And I don't want to undermine other people who are trying. trying to make the same change, and I don't want them to see it constantly being thrown up, even after all that time. To the, statistically speaking, thousands of ex-cons who are watching this, you're watching this channel because you want change. You don't want to be like you were before. If you wanted to be like you were before, you wouldn't be watching this. You'd be watching something else. You want change. You want change in the world. You want change in the community. You want change in yourself. And I believe that's true, and I believe you can do it. So it became important to me for that not to become part of the common discussions on this channel. It became important for me for this channel to be about moving forward, not looking back. Your past is your past. It's always there. But it can motivate you to do better, or it can make you bitter. I think that the people who tune in here, that they want positive change, and they're willing to work for it. So, a little bit more of a yes or no answer for that one, I guess. Yeah, fun questions. Okay. When's the community gardening video coming out? Spring, right before people need it. It will come out. And we'll go through how to do raised beds, inexpensive greenhouses, trees, I think, are in it. And we'll put all that's in a video. Most of it was filmed last year. You should just establish an email just for your messages. Yeah, that's going to happen, kind of. The workflow will change around here probably next month. And there will be a streamlined way to get messages in. Can you still hide your accent on command? I don't know if I'll be able to do it right now. I'm sick. Yes. If I think about it, I can still maintain a non-regional accent and enunciate things very, very quickly and not sound like a redneck at all. I've started a YouTube channel. What's the biggest piece of advice you have for building a community like yours? The YouTube channel's the tool. It's the tool. Figure out what you want to do. And how you want the channel to interact with the world. Having a successful YouTube channel, that's not a plan, that's a wish. Figure out what you want to do and how you want your community to interact, and purpose build your channel for that, your content for that. Use it to change the world or whatever. So, okay. We're going to kind of wrap this up. I really do appreciate all of this. Like I said, it has been a wild ride, and we have done a lot of good. And we will continue to do so. I cannot wait to see what the next 5 years has in store. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.